Welcome, everyone, to the Harmony Harbor Sunday Gathering. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. Harmony Harbor is a spiritual gathering not intended to honor any one religion, but rather seeks to provide inspiration and a positive vibration for those exploring their spirituality. Inspiration sparks and raises our vibration, encouraging all of us to live our best lives. It is my pleasure to welcome our speaker for this evening, Jen Rosson. Jen is an ordained minister whose goal is to be an inspiration to those she serves. She is Vice President of SCOA and the Director of the Spiritual Expression Center. Welcome, Jen.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome in. As always, it is a welcome sight to see all of your faces on these little tiles on my computer screen. Zoom has certainly broadened our horizons, hasn't it? Technology has made civilization-altering changes to all of our lives in the last couple decades, but especially the last few years. Some not so positive, and some have opened doors to opportunities like this that allow us to come together from everywhere, literally across the world sometimes. While I think we spiritual seekers have certainly benefited from many of these types of opportunities, there is a quiet truth that can sometimes get lost in the hustle and bustle of the fast-paced modern society we live in. And that's the understanding that spirituality, specifically our individual spiritual exploration, isn't a destination, it's a journey. Spiritual enlightenment isn't a singular achievement like summiting Mount Everest or winning a gold medal in the Olympics. Those are the kind of endeavors where you can honestly say, I have reached or succeeded in my goal. Our spiritual path is ever-changing, sometimes humbling. It's an ongoing journey that doesn't demand perfection like mountaineering or the Olympic Games. Instead, it asks for presence and patience, eventually resulting not in medals or glory, but in an ever-growing sense of wonder of the divine presence all around us. It's tempting to think of an end goal when considering our individual spiritual journey, a distant point where we can say we've achieved an enlightened state or a pure heart. But when we examine our sacred odysseys, it soon becomes apparent that no matter how different or unique all of them are, they all are an exercise in becoming, not arriving. Looking back through the ages of time at the countless venerated mystics and sages and prophets, they all shared at least one commonality. Universally, they have referred to their spiritual truth in terms of being continually transformed, not celebrating an arrival at some ultimate final piece of knowledge that answered all the questions of the universe. 13th century Persian mystic Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you," speaking not to the ending of a journey, but to the ongoing process of opening our hearts, allowing the lessons of life an entryway. Like all undertakings that have meaning or are important, the spiritual experience in this incarnation is not a quick trip around the block. Our soul's growth is a slow process, asking us for patience and trust while our development is proceeding. The seedlings we plant in our gardens don't bloom on demand. They take rest and respite in the moonlight, responding with growth when the light arrives at dawn. Just like the seedling, we can't hurry our awakening any more than we can hurry the sunrise or quicken the tide. What we can do is be ready and present and awake for the opportunity of that growth. Being patient doesn't mean being complacent, though. Sitting around idly waiting for divine inspiration or intervention to arrive on a cloud in front of us. Walking the spiritual path demands that we show up each day with intention. And this requires discipline, the ability to stay the course when emotions threaten our strength, to try and stay on task when the noise of the world grows loud and distracting, to remain resolute when doubt creeps around the edges of our mind and whispers its seeds of confusion. Discipline helps us put down deep roots, taking many forms like prayer, meditation, contemplation, many other spiritual practices. It's common for meditation groups or mediumship development circles to meet on the same day and the same time year after year. It's a way of demonstrating spiritual discipline, a physical expression to the infinite of our dedication to our spiritual pursuits. No matter how imperfect, the act of faithfully keeping these appointments and giving these practices our attention are all examples of love and devotion. Spiritual discipline gives birth to dedication, helping to move us forward when the initial excitement phase wears off and the real true work begins. Spiritual growth and development ebbs and flows like the seasons. There will be times when everything is in tune and insights flow easily like the incoming tide. Other times can seem like a season of drought when our practices can feel empty or pointless, maybe like we're unnoticed in the multitudes. Dedication is the steady, quiet fire that burns in our soul, keeping us consistent throughout all of the seasons of our life. This commitment develops our understanding of that continual transformation concept, whether we consciously register it or not. When Michelangelo was creating his infamous legendary statue, the David, he spent a considerable amount of time freeing his sculpture from the stone, an outcome that no one else could visibly perceive or imagine. But he didn't stop working, and he didn't stop believing in his vision because it required time to release his treasured form from the marble surrounding it. The 3 years of days it took for him to complete his 17-foot tall, 12,000-pound masterpiece were a drop in the bucket compared to the transformation he achieved. In addition to discipline and dedication, there is another requirement that is essential for our spiritual journeys, that of discernment. We live in a world of instantaneous communication and consumerism, an environment where spirituality can easily become just another commodity to be commercialized with hashtags and TikTok videos. Discernment is the learned ability to filter out the chaff and focus on the thoughts and ideas that truly nourish our souls. Discernment asks the hard questions, questions like, is this practice fulfilling its promise of expanding my ideas of compassion and love? Or is this practice feeding my ego and its need for validation? The act of discernment is not judgment. It clarifies and elevates sacred eternal matters from what can be the superficiality of daily life. Our human heritage is filled with spiritual mentors who encourage discernment in spiritual practices. In the Buddhist tradition, the Buddha is noted to invite others to the middle way, to determine or discern and then embody the balance between indulgence and denial. Many Christian and Hindu sacred texts also remind us that making the discrimination between experiences and true transformations is key to spiritual growth and enlightenment. Our spiritual practices are invaluable, but they are not a destination. They act as the boat that seeks to traverse the river. Ultimately, our journey is learning to walk with mindfulness and awareness, understanding that our spirituality is not reserved for sacred spaces alone, but is with us every moment of every day. An isolated ashram on the side of a mountain is not a necessity to live a spiritually focused life. Every interaction, positive and negative, becomes an integral piece to the jigsaw that we're assembling. When we start to see daily life itself as part of our practice, we also begin to see the subtle shifting of our own reactions, reaching out with kindness in difficult situations, reserving judgment and extending compassion instead. Small daily acts that are cumulative in nature, assisting in our soul's transformation. I've spoken about these 3Ds before, and I'll probably feel the call to bring them up again. They're just that important. Discipline, dedication, and discernment function as our life preservers through the difficult seasons of life. Discipline's roots give form and reassurance through our daily practices. Dedication keeps us on path, whether tangible evidence of growth is present currently or not. And discernment reminds us to use our gained wisdom to embrace what we know to be true and to release what we know is not. The 3Ds form a solid foundation for our journey, a fortress wall that sustains us through the shifting winds of the world around us. These 3Ds don't work in isolation, but in conjunction with one another. Discipline, often construed as restrictive, actually frees us from impulse, giving us strength to carry on when inspiration fades. Dedication lends warmth to discipline, choosing to stay the course, not because it's easy, but because it's true. Discernment is a partner to both, warning us about the disguises of ego, helping to keep us honest with ourselves and each other. These qualities grow and improve over time, reflective of our individual spiritual transformations. The true test of our embodiment of the 3Ds comes not when we are home alone, but when we were out in the world, being challenged and confronted. This is when we answer the true questions of spiritual enlightenment. And rest assured, we all have moments of uncertainty, instances of faltering and setbacks. Even the mystics and sages of ages past didn't escape the realities of this messy physical world. They recognized that the spiritual journey of humanity was not about what happens when we leave this plane of existence behind, but rather how we transform the way we live in it. Each instance and interaction has the ability to teach us a valuable lesson if we are open and willing to receive it. Our souls march to the beat of their own drum. No matter if the world around us is demanding instantaneous satisfaction. Spirituality is a sacred pilgrimage that tests endurance and patience, requiring us to stumble forward through fatigue and doubt. Even the stumbles help to increase our understanding of the divine. There's a much quoted Zen saying that goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The world doesn't change. It marches on. But the way we perceive it and the way we react to it does change. And that perhaps is one of the biggest truths of all. Spirituality isn't about becoming something other. It's about remembering who we have been all along. Underneath all of the facades and masks that we hide ourselves behind or have thrust upon us, there is the soul's stillness that has never changed. Our spiritual journey is the unfolding and rediscovery of that place of quiet center, the divine spark that dwells within us all and always has been. T.S. Eliot wrote, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." Realizing this, our path becomes clear. To be patient with the process, to be disciplined in practice, to remain dedicated even through adversity, to use discernment in deciding our actions and our direction. This is living spiritually, awake and aware in the moment, finding the sacred within the ordinary. We are eternal spiritual beings, having and living a finite physical life. Enlightenment dawns when we realize that we don't arrive, we are home already, but currently engaged in exploring the mystery of the divine love of the infinite in this incarnation. My hope and my prayer is that we all find a path of peace, love, and fulfillment that is truly our destiny. Thank you for allowing me to serve SCOA this Sunday. Many blessings.